Hi guys, see you again on your favorite channel, Shania Studio. Sir Winston Leonard Spencer Churchill was born into an English noble family. His father was Lord Randolph Churchill, who was a descendant of the Duke of Marlborough, while his mother, Jenny Jerome, was the daughter of a wealthy American businessman. Winston Churchill was born on the 30th of November, 1874 at Blenheim Palace in Woodstock, Oxfordshire. Aristocratic families were not as fun as fairy tales. Winston Churchill's relationship with his parents was not close. This was because at that time parents with noble backgrounds kept their distance from their children, including Winston Churchill's parents. Winston Churchill's childhood was spent in Dublin, Ireland, due to his father's work there. His brother Jack, born in Dublin in 1880, Winston and his brother were raised by a nanny and good friend, Elizabeth Everest. Academic ability and rebellious nature resulted in his performance in school. Finally, in late 1888, the 13-year-old began attending Harrow, a boarding school near London. After a few weeks, due to his father wanting a career in the military, he joined the Harrow Rifle Corps. His military career started with facing obstacles. His first and second trials with the Royal Military Academy, Sandhurst, failed. Finally, on his third try, he passed the exam and successfully joined. After graduation, he joined the 4th Hussar Cavalry Regiment. In 1895, during this time Winston Churchill went around the British colonies as a soldier and journalist. In 1896, he went to the Indian Sea border to quell the Pathan resistance against the British. In 1899, the publisher of the London Morning Post sent him to cover South Africa's Second Boer War. Short story: the Boer War was a war between white people, the majority of whom were Dutch living in South Africa, and the United Kingdom, who wanted to control their territory. Winston Churchill was captured by enemy soldiers after he arrived. Fortunately, Churchill managed to escape through the bathroom window, and news of Churchill's escape made Churchill quite famous in England. By the time he returned to England, in 1900, 26-year-old Churchill had published 5 books. He decided to go into politics. He was first elected to Parliament in 1900. He served in the House of Commons, as a member of the Conservative Party for the city of Oldham, in February 1901. After 4 years as a Conservative member, Churchill joined the Liberal Party. In 1904, he was not convinced that the Conservative Party was committed to social justice. Continued his career. Churchill was then elected to Parliament in 1908, and was appointed to the Prime Minister's cabinet as President of the Council of Commerce. In this year also Churchill met and married Clementina Gilvey Spencer. The couple had 5 children, namely Diana, Randolph, Sarah, Marigold, who later died as a toddler due to tonsillitis, and Mary. In 1911, Winston Churchill was appointed First Lord of the Admiralty. The first thing Churchill did was modernize the British Navy. Seeing the potential of fuel oil, he ordered that a new warship be built with an engine fueled by oil instead of coal. In addition, Winston Churchill was one of the first to support the use of military aircraft and founded the Royal Navy Air Service. He even learned to fly his own plane to understand firsthand its military potential. The outbreak of the First World War in 1914 drew Britain to the aid of its allies, like helping France against Germany. Not long after the war began, the fighting developed into trench warfare, where soldiers dug trenches and took shelter in them. Because of the development of military technology such as machine guns, the invading party had difficulty storming the enemy's trenches, resulting in a stalemate without a winner. In his attempt to make a breakthrough to end the war, Winston Churchill proposed an attack on Turkey. The goal was to get Turkey out of the war, pressured the Balkan states to join the Allies and besiege Germany. This plan was finally implemented with the Gallipoli campaign, namely the invasion of the Gallipoli Peninsula in Turkey, in 1915. However, the Turkish resistance managed to withstand the attack. And in the end, after 9 months and 250,000 casualties, Great Britain and its allies withdrew their armies in a humiliating defeat. The Interbellum period. This period means the period between wars. This period is the period between the First World War and the Second World War. Although Winston Churchill failed in the First World War, he did not back down from politics. Churchill took on various government jobs, and in 1924 he rejoined the Conservative Party. But in 1929 the Conservative Party lost in Parliament and Churchill did not take office until the start of the Second World War. Although not in office, Winston remained active in politics, especially after the Nazi Party came to power in Germany in 1933. Churchill spent a great deal of time and energy warning his people of the dangers of Nazi Germany. But at that time the British were tired of war and hesitated to get involved. The British government also ignored Churchill's warnings and avoided dealing with Hitler. In 1938, the British Prime Minister, Neville Chamberlain, even signed a treaty that agreed to give part of the territory of Czechoslovakia to Germany. This was done to avoid conflict with Germany as in the First World War. Winston Churchill's statement turned out to be proven after Germany invaded Poland. Britain and France promised to protect Poland and declared war on Germany. Chamberlain was finally fired from his position, and Winston Churchill replaced him as Prime Minister on the 10th of May, 1940.
Shall never surrender.
When German troops attacked France and England, Churchill said his country would fight back. His speeches inspired British people. Knowing the difficulty of defeating Germany from the British Isles, Churchill tried to persuade the President of the United States, Franklin D. Roosevelt, to support him in the war. Finally, the United States agreed to provide war equipment in the form of ammunition, weapons, tanks and aircraft to the Allies. This program is also known as Lend-Lease. And this was carried out before America joined the Second World War. In addition to the United States, Churchill managed to forge alliances with other powerful countries, namely the Soviet Union led by Joseph Stalin. Finally, the United States intervened in the Second World War, in December 1941. 6 months after Germany invaded the Soviet Union, the United States joined because it was attacked by the Japanese at Pearl Harbor, an American naval base. The scale of this war has turned into a global war. With the strength of the United States and the Soviet Union on the side of the Allies, Churchill had no doubts that he would win. Churchill, Stalin and Roosevelt, later known as the Big Three, led the Allies in the Second World War. They are the leaders of countries that contribute the largest workforce and resources, each of them playing an important role in achieving victory. Churchill worked with the two leaders to develop a strategy against Germany and its allies, as well as helping post-war with the United Nations as a mediator. Finally, the war ended with Germany losing when the fall of Berlin to the Soviet Union and the surrender of Japan after the atomic bombs were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Although Churchill managed to bring victory, war-weary British society overthrew the Conservative Party and their Prime Minister just 2 months after the German surrender in 1945. After the Second World War, Winston Churchill remained active in politics. On his visit to the United States of America in Fulton, Missouri, in 1946, Churchill again correctly predicted the new threat posed by the Soviet Union. Churchill stated that the Iron Curtain had descended across Europe. See the Soviet Union's relations with Western countries deteriorating. The Cold War would continue until the end of the 20th century. Winston Churchill again took over as Prime Minister in a Conservative Party victory in 1951 and resigned in 1955. Churchill remained a Member of Parliament until the 1964 general election, when he announced his retirement from politics. 1 year later, on the 24th of January 1965, he died at the age of 90 in Kensington, London. He received the largest state funeral given to a commoner since the Duke of Wellington. For 3 days and 3 nights his body was laid in the Palace of Westminster and about 320,000 people came to pay their respects. Winston Churchill is buried in the grounds of Blaydon Church, Oxfordshire, next to his parents' graves, near his birthplace Blenheim Palace. That's the story of the journey and adventure of Winston Churchill. A leader who is responsible for the war victories of his nation as well as a fortune teller whose warnings are ignored. Hope you like this video. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Shania Studio. Thank you, bye.